So, as you say, the question is, why did the court decide to intervene now after all this time? And I think that there are a couple of answers to that. One, the arrival of Justice Brett Kavanaugh has changed the dynamic on the court a great deal. I think that Justice Kennedy and the Chief Justice were a bit reluctant to wade into the Second Amendment thicket. And secondly, I think that the lawyers in this case, the lawyers litigating on behalf of the gun owners, have done a very good job of presenting what is a fairly narrow issue. They are challenging an ordinance in one city that strictly regulates the transportation of guns. It doesn't really bear on an assault weapons ban. It doesn't really bear on concealed carry. So I think that the attorneys for the gun owners have done a very nice job of presenting what is a fairly small question for the justices, but one that could have significant implications depending on what the ruling looks like.
Right. When you said there are a couple of answers to your question, I thought literally you were going to say two answers. One, Gorsuch. Two, Kavanaugh. Couple of answers, and they're the ones who made this decision, because it is mostly a conservative majority on the court now. We know a couple of the conservative justices might be sitting a little on the middle, but it's mostly a conservative court. So detail what this case involves, because I'm a gun owner. My family are gun owners. The idea that you can only take your legally owned firearm to one of 7 specific gun ranges, that you couldn't even transport it between, say, your house and your brother's house, or your house and your other house that you owned, without getting permission from the police, that seems just beyond insane.
Yeah, the law is actually, so first of all, the ordinance doesn't even allow gun owners in New York City to carry their guns outside city limits. Though the NYPD might issue written directives allowing individuals to carry their guns to, say, a gunsmith or something like that, they emphatically, for no reason, they cannot take their guns beyond city lines. And here, 2 of the plaintiffs, we have 3 plaintiffs in this case and a 4th organizational plaintiff. 2 of the plaintiffs are gun owners who simply want to take their guns to a shooting competition outside of New York City. The 3rd plaintiff is an individual who owns a vacation home in the Catskill Mountains who wants to transport his gun to his country home simply for purposes of self-defense. So I think New York City is going to have to come up with a pretty compelling interest to justify what gun rights owners say is a very draconian regime regulating the transportation of guns. Now, New York City says that they enacted these new restrictions because they had serious problems regulating the transportation of guns under an old regime. Everybody agrees that states and cities can at least enforce some measures that govern the transportation of guns. New York City says under our old regime, we had all kinds of problems. People were, transporting their guns onto airplanes. People were transporting their guns, while they were in the car and nowhere near one of the 7 designated gun ranges. So we needed to enact even more draconian restrictions. And I think that the real question is New York City going to be able to come up with a more compelling justification for its ordinance, because the Supreme Court would not have taken this case if they planned to affirm the New York City ordinance.